Cliffjumper, what are you doing?
I've got Megatron dead center in my viewfinder.
Hello internet friends, Nap here. Cliffjumper, buzzworthy Bumblebee packaging. He's been incredibly hard for me to find in the UK. God knows why. I think he was just released in limited numbers. He's got his bazooka, famously from the start of the Transformers cartoon where he takes a pot shot at Megatron. As Moonbase 1 is reduced to scrap metal, Cliffjumper boards a ship in the attempt to escape the jaws of Unicron. So let's unbox him and have a look at Cliffjumper. They wipe loads out, but Cliffjumper, Jazz, one of few who survive, but you know, they're still bringing out people who don't survive, like Ironhide. I need to get hold of him, but I'm just glad. I was going to go Decepticon-centric, and then I saw this guy for sale on one of my favourite online retailers and just thought, right, gotta grab him. As all of these Studio Series 86 figures come with the stand, and this one is the same as Jazz's. It's very cool because they do have that location, they share that location together. It's not something that I use very much. But yeah, first impressions are really good of this figure. I think it's a nice compromise between the cartoon and the G1 original Cliffjumper. The car mode, which we'll see in a second, you know, he's very different to Bumblebee, not just a Bumblebee repaint. Yeah, like the chunky feet remind me of the G1 and stuff, but there's enough accuracy to the cartoon for it to feel like a cartoon themed figure. So you can move the head, you've got the shoulder swivel in the middle, and swivel at the shoulders, and the hands as well. For such a small figure, you actually have a really good range of motion with this guy. You can do the splits. He has no knee swivel, and the whole sort of leg at the bottom does move back with the knee, so you can't actually swivel the foot forward and backwards, but you can swivel it sideways. So actually get some good poses with this guy. The feet do restrict him a little bit in terms of what you can do, but they mean he has a good center of gravity. So, you know, you can have him running forward and he doesn't topple over because of those big chunky feet. One thing you always think with a small figure, why am I paying the same price for this as I am for Jazz, who's significantly taller? But I feel like they have tried with Cliffjumper to give him lots of features which kind of make up for the fact that he's slightly smaller but still deluxe figure, and it's all to do with this stuff. The bazooka is the obvious first thing that he uses in the cartoon, and pretty easy to set up. You've got these two pieces stick together like that, then this guy goes right in the end, and you have the two ammo clips that also double as the stand. Right, so he's going to lie down and snipe with this thing. Let's see if we can get him sniping. As long as people don't look too closely at where the feet are, I suppose technically he's looking up at that point. Let's focus on the head. There we go. And then focus on the gun. So that's a dramatic rack focus there for you. That ain't all. I was very surprised by this. We can take this guy apart and create his a two-gun. He's like guns akimbo. Actually, in the instructions it shows you to put the ammo clip on the inside, which may be more technically thing, but then it shows the weird side of the plastic, so I prefer to put it on that side. I think this looks a little bit better to my eye. And loads of places to stow this stuff on the figure, you know. So if he's making his last stand on the shuttle with Ironhide, he would have the two guns going, and you stow it on the side like that. There's a little thing there. Let me just figure out which way to go with this. I think we put that. It's showing me that way forward, but I don't like that. It shows the peg there, so I think I would, well, that backwards thing's not much better anyway. So yeah, so you can stow everything nicely, and I think there is one more as well which actually goes on the shoulder. It's like a shorter bazooka. It's nice that they're kind of like aware of the fact, come on guys, he's not a big figure, let's give them something else to be messing around with, and that's appreciated. So that little clip there doubles as going in the joint there, but unfortunately I think once it's in place, you can't really move the arm very much. So his arm has to be straight at the side, and then you can have a shoulder launcher, technically, because it's in the groove in his arm. But as soon as you do that, and then the final one, a lot of them, there seems to be an option for guys who like the transformation is not all in one. Let's make the bit that comes off a shield. I know they did that with the Ironhide that came before the Studio Series Ironhide, and there you go. Shield. Not quite. Try again. This fiddly thing. There you go. But when you take that back thing off, then it starts to kind of fall apart, because he is a parts former. So the actual, this bit here is what secures him in robot mode. So when you take it off, he's a bit flimsy at the back here. These start to come away from the chest piece very easily. I really like his car mode, and it's a better time to talk about the paint is in car mode, because you can see the difference between the shield, which is a different type of shade of plastic, and this, and it's not too bad. I keep mentioning Ironhide, but the Ironhide that is coming out looks pretty inconsistent in terms of the red paint, whereas Cliffjumper I think is pretty good. Let me just transform him and you can see. Just find that until you've got it together, those arms don't really fit in very well. And then the final piece is the hood that goes at the back. Boot, as we say in the UK, trunk in the US. I really like that car mode. And I do like the fact that Cliffjumper is significantly different to Bumblebee. It's something that I really, because he's a unique character, and I've always liked Cliffjumper. He's a hothead and a bit of a grump as well, like grumpy hothead, who's just getting grizzled at this stage. But as you can see, I don't know if the camera's really picking it up, but it is different plastic, different red plastic, but actually all the different parts pretty consistent all the way through, apart from the back end of the car. Yeah, I really like that. And again, you've got all the stuff to mess around with, stuff that I will rarely do, but I will show you how it goes. So big bazooka on the top of the car. That does show in the instructions as being sticking out at the end, but this is my personal favorite thing to do with the car mode, is to turn him into like jet ski Cliffjumper. And this little bit, which I thought was a solid piece of plastic, actually folds out, so you can do this. So even the pieces of plastic that you think are just innocuous plastic transform as well. Everything transforms in Transformers. Just have to be careful when you push it in at the bottom, it kind of starts to come apart at the top, which is a persistent thing with a lot of these guys. Pressure in one place splits apart the plastic in other places. Not usually not usually to the extent that it breaks anything, but it is frustrating because you need to put a lot of pressure to get this into the hole there. But that, as you can see, pops apart the guy. If it's not in exactly the right position, then it pops out there. I'll just leave all this in so you can see me fiddling around with it. This is what I'm finding with a lot of these modern Transformers. It's just, there's a knack to it. So I'm really putting pressure on the whole model there and holding it in place. And then of course, but you've got to be careful where you're putting the pressure on, right? So here we go with this guy. And there's a little groove on the actual handle. So he's got boosters on either side. And these little doobies that double as skis. How cool is that? That's my personal favourite use for all these little gubbins that he comes with. So yeah, I mean, he's one that you could easily lose the bits for. That's really cool. It's heading across the water. There's a bit, there's some water skiing bit in G1 Transformers that I seem to remember. But I'll personally, I just want the basic stuff. I'm not messing around with all the little things like that. So yeah, Cliffjumper is actually a lot more versatile, a lot more interesting than I thought he would be because of all the parts and stuff. I would give this, I think it's been worth the wait, you know. I think that's a 9 on Cliffjumper. I really like it. I think it's a good representation in robot mode. I think there's lots of stuff to do with the deluxe, and it's worth the money even though it's a smaller figure. Not as big as Jazz, but well worth the price. Thank you for watching, guys. Check out my other videos on the channel. Still trying to grow it, get to 1,000 subs. That's the milestone. Help me do that. Sub up, like, watch videos. It all helps. And hopefully one day we'll be off the starting block and up to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you for watching, guys. Cliffjumper.
Cliffjumper, what are you doing? Let's burn rubber.